up? What is up? What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Year of the Vet. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much. You're in for a treat because this episode has a local legend, Joe Sapien, coming to Year of the Vet. And before I get into who Joe Sapien is, what he does, and why he's on the show, I just want to mention how grateful I am for the Year of the Vet listeners to continually be who they are and promote the show and continually push the fact that there is a platform for other vets out there. So continue to tell your friends about Year of the Vet, continue to tell your service members about Year of the Vet, and continue to tell the veterans that are already out there about Year of the Vet, and that there's a platform here that's just giving back to you guys, just stories of other individuals like you who've walked the road of transition and are in a place in their lives where they can talk about the lessons they've learned to get where they are today. Be sure to shoot on over to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and like and follow Year of the Vet. And if you haven't already, shoot on over to Year of the Vet on iTunes, on Spreaker, that's SPREAKER.com, or wherever you're listening to podcast at. And subscribe, share, and leave a comment on what you think of the show. So enough self-promotion. Let me tell you who Joe Sapien is. So Joe Sapien, at first sight, is just a regular dude walking around the streets, minding his own business. And you wouldn't think that by looking at him. People wake up at 3 a.m. to get to his office 4 hours early to see him. The line that forms up outside of his door to help vets secure the benefits that they rate fills up well before he gets to work in the morning. That's right. Joe is a VSO, a veteran service officer for CALVet. He's also just become a chapter commander at the DAV. So this guy is getting his hands dirty with veteran advocacy on all aspects of what he's doing. Super humble dude, getting his beginnings helping homeless vets up in Modesto, California. And then life got him down here to LA, where he says, Modesto gave me life, but Los Angeles brings life to me. And don't quote me on that. That may be just a paraphrase. However, the fact is that without Joe, there are thousands of vets who would not have had their benefits given to them because vets turn to Joe because he cares. And you can hear that clearly in this conversation. So I'm excited for you to hear this because it was by far one of my favorite conversations that I've had on the show so far to this date. In our conversation, we talk about a lot of things, but what you're going to be interested in listening to this are all the key elements of getting yourself taken care of in the VA system when it pertains to service connection, as it pertains to VA home loans, as it pertains to education benefits such as voc rehab. We talk about homeless shelters, which is something that I believe that everybody should have in their cell phone or in the back of their mind when you come across a vet who has nowhere to go and you need to take them somewhere. So there's just, one of my favorite conversations by far, and I almost guarantee that it's going to be one of your favorite conversations as well. And so with that being said, let's just move right into how our conversation started. We're already starting. It's recording, but don't worry. So my mindset, I was thinking about this before I got here, right? Yeah. My mindset is, I think I'm going to do this. We're going to have our full conversation. Yeah. And then there's going to be a part of the conversation that I want to split up. So you're able, even if you're able to say, hey, I actually did this podcast. Wait, you talk about this stuff on your podcast, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
then never mind.
Yeah, I talk about like vet benefits and things like that.
Okay.
The guy that I work with, Costa, he's the one that's the genius. Like, because if it wasn't for him, I would not know nothing. Like, and like if you were actually giving each other titles and all that, yeah, he's pretty much the producer, the editor, the lighting, and like he's the dude. Yeah, I'm just like co-host, you know. Like,
but somehow, co-host turned into just Valley superstar.
I think that's like word of mouth, you know, because
it is word of mouth.
I'm really kind of a shy dude, so like you catch me at Target or something, like,
yeah,
you know, but like, but like if you come and talk to me and say, hey, what's going on? Like, I have no problem talking to people, and I think when it comes to veterans, I think you see that I believe in you, and I'm trying, and I think they appreciate it because it's not just some dude like, oh, here's a claim, get the hell out.
Yeah,
it's, oh, this guy's actually trying for me, and it's not just about. I really don't believe it's about that singular vet. It's about the family. It's about taking care of each other. There's so many ripples involved of getting this one dude something that they already deserve.
Yeah,
because by the time you come into my office, like, you've already earned it. It's just you don't know it.
Yeah. Whether you've done 4 or 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, because people don't realize that no matter whether you're Air Force, Coast Guard, Marine, we're taught suck it up, deal with it. Mm-hmm. And so I really believe like 80% of the injuries are never reported regardless. Mm-hmm. And so it gets harder for you when you get out and you say, well, I hurt my knee. And there's like, well, there's no record of it. Mm-hmm. So now you got to sit there and figure it out. But this dude's being true because, like, if you're infantry for 4 years, what are the odds your knee's going to get jacked up? Mm-hmm. So now you're just trying to tie dots.
Yeah.
But thankfully, like, because people find out what I'm trying to do and I'm really trying to help people, you get to bounce off other people. So then the psychologists start to understand that, oh, this guy's trying. The VA police see, oh, this guy's trying. All the different little, like, nonprofits around here see that I'm trying. So they're more willing to talk to you.
Yeah.
And it's always been just giving me an opportunity to try. And
now, have you been like that for your life? Like, who were you as now, what service did you serve in?
I was in the Army.
Okay, so
I was 14 Tango Patriot missiles.
Oh, Patriots.
Yeah. It was really just turn the light green and run like hell. Like.
But you had to, like, study planes and stuff. Oh, that's big. That's no.
No, like
in the Marine Corps they do.
Yeah, no, we just had to set up the missiles and run.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like, because like the guys in the radar are the ones that are playing with the buttons.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much like automated. So like the moment they're on, they're on.
How long did you serve?
Just 2 years. I got stop loss, so I did a little more than 2 years. Yeah.
When did you go? You went in like 2000?
Yeah, I went in 2001 on April Fool's Day is when I signed up at the MEP station. Yeah. And I'll never forget that, dude. It was up in Sacramento. And you're nervous as hell. You don't know what job to pick.
Yeah.
And then he's giving me all these options and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know about that, dude. And then he's like, Patriot missile, 2 years. And he has the papers. He's like, what could happen? And I just looked at him like, God. Like, you just knew something's going on. But you're like, all right, 2 years, whatever.
Yeah, what could happen?
And then, like, basic training pops off. Like, I leave for basic training July 25th, 2001. And then just before we graduate is when September 11th happened. Mm-hmm. And so I thought it was a basic training thing of seeing if you just run away or go home or something, because, like, everybody's like, congratulations, you're infantry now.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you're full of it. And I never left the state of California.
Yeah.
So, like, talking about the World Trade Center, I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And when you heard it, like, I was getting my Class A's measured. And so it was the first time you saw a woman in weeks, And she was listening to the radio, and I think Pink was on the radio. And all you hear is, like, somebody hit the South Tower or something like that. And instantly I was thinking, like, churches, like a little dude, like, in a little prop plane ran into, like, a Catholic church or something. Mm-hmm. You're like, what the hell? And then, like, a few minutes later, they're like, another plane hit the other tower. And you're like, where are all these drunk pilots coming from? Like, it was not clicking in my head. And then finally, like, they separated everybody. He's like, anybody from the East Coast, get over here and call home and all this stuff. And you're like, oh, shit, there's something going on.
Yeah.
And then you saw the tanks, like, because I was in Fort Knox at the time. So you saw the tanks and everything, like, close down the base and, like, prepare for whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is kind of real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What could happen?
Yeah, man. Like, oh, wow. Like, and I always tell people, like, I have, like, kind of that Forrest Gump lifestyle where, like, you're that guy that's, like, in those little, like, historical moments.
Yeah.
But you're just outside of it where it's not affecting you.
Yeah.
Like
where you're not the spotlight.
Yeah, like, it's not, like, it could have been worse, but you happen to just get around it.
Yeah.
But you were there.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And that's why they're like, when you want to re-enlist, I'm like, like, like.
Yeah, I played with death once, right?
Yeah.
I looked in the mirror.
Yeah, and you see, like, the different side of, like, life that is kind of negative,
Yeah, man.
And I figured, like, if you were lucky enough to come back with your fingers and toes, then you might not want to roll the dice again.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I felt like kind of like a rookie that went straight to the World Series.
Yeah. I ask this all the time because I enlisted in 2000.
Okay.
Right? September 11th, 2000. And
no shit,
yeah,
really?
it was so I stepped on the footprints, and then a year later, I'm in 21 Palms when all that happened.
Yeah.
But I always question And like, it's not one of those, I'll sit there and ponder this for hours kind of thing. But I sit and I wonder, like, would I have enlisted if I knew that the war was going on? And so that's, when all these guys coming out now, they went in 2004, I'm like, you guys are heroes. Because you knew. I didn't know.
No, I didn't know at the time, like at the time it was all peace. And I think at that point, the only thing that happened was the bombing of the U.S. Cole. Mm-hmm. And that's when like the Navy guys like, hey, do you want to sign up for 5 years? I'm like, no. And then the Army recruiter came by. And the Army recruiter came by and he's like, I got a 2-year enlistment. If you fall off my Humvee, you won't drown. And I was like, sold. Like I figured 2 years you could figure it out, Yeah. But yeah, man, like I went straight like, and you're like, I don't know about all that. And then like the weird thing too is like our orders at the time, said it didn't have Iraqi freedom. It had Operation Enduring Freedom.
It was the first one was Enduring Freedom. First.
Yeah. And then like when Bush went on the radio and said, okay, we're gonna have this 24-hour countdown and all this. That was the first time I heard Iraqi freedom. Yeah. And so I seriously believed, like at the time I was like 18, and like at the time I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna bring 25 million Iraqis to America. I'm like, this is gonna be amazing. I was like, we're really doing something. Because I was thinking like we're freeing you. Like we're gonna go do something. Like, yeah. And
which speaks on like when you join the service, you legitimately have no idea what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah. Because when you look back now and you see an 18-year-old, you're like, you idiot, you don't know nothing.
You have no idea.
And that was me in the military. Yeah. And you're like, whew.
We're just sitting there following orders.
Yeah. But you think you're tough as hell.
Yeah. Where are all those Iraqis now?
Yeah. In Iraq. Like. And that was the thing, too, that made me, like, definitely got me a little depressed is when the 10-year anniversary happened, in, like, 2013. Mm-hmm. And so you're looking back and, like, what good did we do here? Mm-hmm. And you still kind of see the negative that's going on for those people, and that kind of sucked. Yeah. Because I'm really hoping, like, kind of like in World War II, guys didn't want to hang around the Japanese, but now me and you would love to go. Yeah. So I'm hoping, like, by the time we're older, your kids are going to Iraq for, like, spring break or something. Yeah. But, like, and I have no negative against those people at all. Like, I think you're just on one side and they're on the other. Just like if you're born in Germany, you serve the German army. Yeah. Like,
yeah. Like, We Were Soldiers. You saw that movie, right?
Yeah, like a while ago.
Yeah, it was long. Yeah. We watched it on the way to Afghanistan.
Really?
So, yeah, it was, my sergeant major made us watch it on the way to war. But, there's a scene in it where they're questioning whether to kill this guy because he's having this moral dilemma where this guy has a family, So, yeah, man, it's, but that's where all the PTSD stems from. 100%. That's where all the depression stems from. That's where all,
So I really care about the people, because like the symbolism and everything like that doesn't mean much to me, but the human being matters so much. And I don't care what your background is or where you come from. I do think the vast majority, like 95% of the world's pretty damn decent. Mm-hmm. You just want to raise your family. Don't pick on my family. Don't pick on my house. And we're all good. Mm-hmm. It's just the few people that cause all the BS. Yeah. And so, like, I didn't want to be that guy that came out, and you're like, oh, I don't like these guys or this, And that's one reason a lot of the photos I had when I was deployed were all, like, kind of nice photos, like camels and stuff. Yeah. So your family had no negative, Yeah. And to see anything. Where a lot of guys want to take the wild photos, but like, I figured hopefully as the years go by, you kind of forget about it. So when you're looking through your book, all you got is this nice stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I'm excited. It's funny because I hadn't even officially like started the podcast, but I mean, this is all getting used.
Yeah.
But so I think what I want to do is I just want to pick your brain first off.
Oh yeah.
And then how I usually structure it is like who was pre-Army Joe, right? And then like moving into we don't really talk about like everything that happened in the military. If there's like stories that happen, so what? I mean, of I don't know, funny or something that's like this absolutely changed the course of everything. Those are kind of the stories we'll talk about military. Yeah. But then it's all about transition afterwards. Like, when you started transitioning, when you realized about the necessity of the process, and then like where you're at right now. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
You see that right there?